Okay, so it's time to start working on some textures. This is, for me, this is one of the harder things to do. But anyhow, we'll give it a shot here. So we're at cgtextures.com. We're gonna go to roads here and look for some asphalt textures. We're gonna go to asphalt close-ups, I think. So I already downloaded a bunch of these, but I'm just I think the one I'm using is this one right here. Kind of just like the way it looked. It looked like a nice one. I think I downloaded one of these or both of them. So not a whole lot to say there, but zgtextures.com and find pretty much where I find all my textures, and of course they are open source. You can use them without infringing on copyright or anything. See that texture? I don't know if I had that texture yet. Let's just take a look at it. You can press, let's say Z to zoom in on it. I don't know if I'll use it or not, but I might go ahead and download one of these just so I have it. Let me navigate to my folder real quick. Alright, you can see I already have a bunch of other textures in there. But anyhow, I just go to CG Textures and search for some nice asphalt textures, just pretty much the ones that you take a liking to. I'm going to go ahead and start up GIMP. Get things set up here. I'm just going to create a new texture. Let's make it 2048 by 2048. Alright. Let's go ahead and open one for textures. We're going to say just open a new tab. So we're going to say just open. Let's navigate to our folder. The one I want to use is this one right here for now. If I like this, well, I don't know if it's that one. Let's, although we'll keep that one open because we might want to use it. Let's look at this one. This might be it. Convert to RGB, sure, why not? Alright, this looks like a good texture. Difference between this texture and this texture is that this one is tileable and this one is not. I kind of like to make my own textures tileable instead of having ones pre-done for that, so I can kind of work out the repetitiveness in them a little bit more. So actually there's a few things I want to look at doing here. First of all, I want to try going to filters, map, and just say make seamless and see how that works. And that'll kind of bring the, you'll notice that it was darker on this side than on this side, but this kind of evens out the shading or the lighting and stuff. Let's go down back to filters, map, and say small tiles and see how it repeats. In fact, let's make a few more segments. Let's make 4 just so we can get an idea. So this is looking pretty good already. But you'll notice that there's this one little stone in the asphalt. It's really looking really repetitive here. So actually, I'm going to do this. I'm actually going to go to filter, map. Let's make small tiles again, but let's set it back down to like 2. Alright, so now this is nice, easy to work with here. What I'm going to do, I want to kind of cover some of these stones up so we don't have one, everywhere along that line. Because I know there's 1, 2, 3 right straight, lined up with each other there on the about 45 there. But so what we'll do, we'll just pick a kind of a random spot in the texture. So we're just gonna use a selection tool, pick just a random spot. In fact, we could even go a little smaller. Something like that. I'm just going to say Control C and then I'll copy it. Then say Control V. Alright, we have a new layer here. We're going to say 2 new layer. Just going to right click and say 2 new layer. We have a new really small layer here. And just more like a patch really is what it is. Whoops, didn't want to do that. I'll take the move tool here. And we're just going to move it over one of these here. Alright. This Control Shift D will duplicate that layer. We can hold down Shift, so we're only going to, so we for sure moving the right layer here, the top one. And we can cover up another one of these. We can cover up that one, or not. So you can see here that this layer, I mean, I cannot figure out where it is. I mean, it's so small, it blends in so well. There's no way you're going to notice that, especially in Flight Simulator. Alright, let's make another one here. I'm holding down Shift to move it, just so I don't have to directly click on the texture or on the layer. So we're just going to pick the most random ones, which look to be like this one, and this one. Looks like that to me. So we'll make one more patch here, move this one up. Alright, let's right click and merge all these down. Alright. Now just because, you know, we don't necessarily have to, possibly we don't necessarily have to cover them up completely. We could bring down the opacity and just bring them as kind of light spots, just, you know, real light colors in the asphalt. But in this case, I think I'll just leave the layers opaque and just hide those completely. Alright, I'm gonna say layer to image size just so it keeps things a little nicer. So now we have to decide, well, are we ready to put this into a larger texture, or do you want to do some other things to it? Well, let's see if we can say open this layer. So let's open this one. This one is kind of more or less identical to it. In fact, I don't know if it's actually a lot larger in scale. I'm not sure if that's because just a lot bigger. So what we can do, we can scale this. First of all, check the size of this layer. We'll just say scale a layer and look at the size. It's 1024 by 681. Let's scale this one the same. So we're going to scale this layer. You can see this is the out edge of the layer. You can see it's much bigger than the texture we're working with. So we're going to say 1024. And what was it? 681, I think. There we go. Alright. It actually might be the same texture. I can't tell. I need to go to my folder here. Make sure I got the right one. Let's see. Where is my folder? Actually, there it is. So this one is actually larger in resolution. It seems, anyways. Let's see what the properties are. 3000 by 2000. This one is 1024 times 681. So actually, you know what we might want to do is use that one instead, because of a larger texture size. In fact, I might. It's going to be the same method. I'll just fix up that one the way we did this one and start the video back up. I think that's the best way to do it. Yeah, much larger texture size, so we have a much higher resolution. So I'll just do the same thing as we did before, and meet you back here in a second. Alright, so we're back where we started. Only this time we have the larger texture, and so that's going to be a good thing. Well, let's see. What can we do if we want to add anything to this or not? Let's cancel that. I'm looking through here. Let's open some more of these. In fact, let's take a look at them here. Thinking, we could like take a piece out of this texture and layer it on top of that one to give it a little more randomness to it. This one I'm not too crazy about. So let's see, we'll keep going here. Now this one, here's an interesting one. Let's actually take note of the name. Let's see, what is that called? 0, 1, 2, 1 left. I'll try to remember it here. Without renaming them yourself, it can be hard to remember the names that they're pre-named with. Let's see, I think it's that one. Oh, perfect. Alright, so let's just say layered image size. Doesn't matter if we crop out some of that. This one, we're just going to bring down the opacity. This is just going to kind of make this texture just a little more random. What we can do, we can say filters map, make this one seamless too. So say make seamless. Alright, just to make sure it tiles well. So that's looking fairly good. Let's go ahead and just say edit, copy visible. We'll go into our new texture here and let's get this set up. First things first, like I always do, I always add color to alpha. First thing. Say image, guides, let's add some guides now. This is pretty much the second thing I always do when creating textures. Alright. I kind of wish there was a way to add them a little faster instead of just one at a time. You can just drag them if you want just an arbitrary guide. You can just drag them from that edge here. Just click on that ruler and drag it over. But that's not, to get precise placements, that's not really the way you want to go. So I'll just get these put in real quick. Let's see your horizontal now. You need one at 100 and one at 0. There we go. So let's go ahead and say Control V. So we paste that layer that we have here. We need to scale it down, of course. So we're going to say layer, scale layer. I'm just going to change it the width to our texture here, which is 2048. That's the width. That way we can at least fit it in like this. Alright, that looks good. Let's see. Let's say to new layer. So now we basically need to duplicate this layer. We're going to move it down. What we might do is this layer transform, and we're going to flip this vertically. Since the top edge repeats with, well, let me think about that. Let me undo that. No, I think we're good just leave it as it is, actually. Because that top edge, when it repeats this way, it should line up with the bottom edge here. So it should be good. What we want to do though is just maybe make sure it's not a hard edge right here. We could blend that with the eraser. Just take the most soft circle there is here. We're going to up the size, and we're just going to, let's see, just really enlarge it here. Maybe a lot more than that. Let's keep going right there. That looks pretty good. We're just going to go from this edge. And that's not working out the way I thought it would. Just see. In fact, you know what, guys? That's a bad idea, so let's not do that. I'm just, that's the way you go about texturing. It's just, or creating textures just to experiment until you get something you like. I'm going to say layer to image size so I can see that. I don't see too bad of a line there. You can see something though, so question is of how we want to go about fixing that. Well, one thing we could do, let's just move this layer so the top lines up with the bottom. In fact, let's just undo the... Yeah, that's good. So I just did the undo layer to image size, so it's easier to move this texture or place it. Go zoom way in here so we can get that just right. Alright, it's just say layer to image size now. So that just cuts off the excess. Alright, that looks pretty good. Let's just go ahead and say merge down and say filters map. Let's just see what happens if we say make seamless. I'm not sure if that was a good idea or not. In fact, let's just go as it is right now without making it seamless. So I undid the seamless part. They say small tiles, and we're just going to see what happens if we repeat it. And that actually doesn't look too bad, but you know, you can kind of see it repeats this way quite a bit. We might go back in here, see if we can do anything to this texture. Maybe up the opacity of this one. I'm not sure if this is the right one or not. In fact, I don't think it's the right texture. It's this one. Here we go. We just up the opacity of this one a little bit more. It'll kind of level out the shading or the lighting in the texture a little more, I think. So again, we'll just go through the same process here. So we say copy visible. I'll leave what we have already. I'm just going to put new layers on top of this one. So I'm going to say Control V, bring in our layer here. We're going to scale this down the same way that we did before. So width 2048. Okay. Let's move that into place. Alright, now let's duplicate it. Move the top edge, line it up with the bottom edge down here. I'm going to go ahead and set the opacity of this layer though down to 0 so we can see the edges a little better. Alright. It's lined up well. We're just going to say layer to image size. Merge it down. I'm just going to move this down here for now just so we know we're not using it at the moment. Alright. Let's see what happens if we go here and say filters, map, make small tiles. See what happens. That actually looks quite a bit better because you don't have those dark splotches like you did in this one. Let's bring the opacity up on this one again. Let's see here. Did I have that seamless or not? Nope, I haven't done that yet. Let's make this seamless and see. Filter map. Make seamless. Or not seamless, small tiles. There. You can see that the shading and the texture makes a little bit more repetitiveness in it, and so by editing the texture a little bit, we got a little bit more of the repetitiveness now. Now what I think I want to do is not quite dark enough in my opinion, so I'm going to change the brightness. I'm going to bring it down, maybe bring the contrast down just a little bit. So that way we kind of even balance out the lighting just a little bit more. Alright, that's looking pretty good. So that right there could be just our base asphalt texture. So we want to leave this one as is, but we're going to need a texture for the first method of modeling that we did in the first modeling video. We're going to want to edit this texture even more, so we're going to save this one. Let's just save as. We'll save it in our taxi textures here. Let's see, let's save it as. Let's see here. Say seamless. Why not? Let's call it something like that. _1. Alright. Now let's save a copy. We'll call this _2. Whoops. There we go. Let's open that one now. Alright, so I'm going to continue editing this one for. Whoops. So let's see. What we want to do, we want to create an edge on each side of this texture. We're going to go ahead and move this back down to the bottom, bring the opacity down to 0. Okay, we use this texture now. We're going to take the eraser. In this case, I think I want a fairly hard edge. Maybe, probably not the most hardest thing, but just the one next to the hard circle there. Looks good. We're just going to scale that eraser down to about here. Using the guides, it'll pop into that corner there with the guides in place. Alright, so just going to click in that corner, then just hold down shift. Now we see a nice line here. We're going to click in this corner, and that's all there is to it. Now you notice that this edge is very straight. There's no jaggedness and jagged, edges or anything like that to it. Well, if you don't like that, sometimes maybe depending on how new you want the asphalt to look, you may not have put too much of a jagged edge on there. But even with new asphalt, you might want just kind of a wavy edge. So what you could do, you could just say, check this right here, apply jitter. And we'll bring down the amount of jitter. Whoops, we'll uncheck that. Bring down the amount maybe to like 0.08 or something. And we'll just give this a test here and see what we have. Looks pretty good. You see this is kind of a wavy edge. But not, not like too broken up or anything. Do the same thing on this side. That looks good. So now I think what we want to do, we want to add kind of a little bit of a dark shading on the edge of each edge of this texture. In fact, you know what? Let's undo this step right here. Let's do the shading first. So we're going to go over here and say FG to transparent. We're going to have black in the color box here. We're going to take our blend tool. We're just going to go from, on the edge here, we're just going to go from the edge right here. Let's see here. Click, hold. Using the control key, we'll snap, make it snap into positions. Alright, so just something like that. We'll do the same thing on this side. Click, hold. It's a little bit further than the other one. In fact, you know what? You gotta make sure you do this on new layer, so I'm gonna do this on new layer. Alright. Let's try that again. Come here. Now actually what we're doing is say, let's just duplicate this layer by hitting Control Shift D. I'm going to say layer, transform, flip horizontally. Alright, let's merge that layer down just to make one layer. We won't adjust the opacity yet, but we probably will in a second. Let's take our eraser. Again, it should be set up and ready to go. Alright, we're just going to click. Make sure your asphalt layer is selected. And click on that corner. And click in this corner. Alright, and you know what? We actually need to probably end up merging this layer right onto the asphalt. So we do want to actually mess with the opacity right now. We'll set it to like 70 or something. That looks pretty good. And then we'll merge it down onto the asphalt. Now let's try this again. So just, like I say, you just need to keep playing with your texture. You're gonna be undoing things constantly and redoing them differently. But there we go. We got a nice shade on that texture there. Let's do the same thing on this side. There. So now you see that edge. It gives that edge a nice depth to it. Looks really nice. So we're getting somewhere with this. Here, you know what? I want to go and try something. Let's go to filters, map, say bump map. I want to see what happens if I try this. I'm not really sure what I'm doing. This is this is pretty random. But I'm just gonna experiment with something here. Use the Z, Y offset. You know, who the heck knows what that does? But so I'm really just on the spot, just trying things here. Well, let's just see. I'm gonna go between Control Z and Control Y, kind of go back and forth. I kind of like that bump mapping. Just adds maybe a little bit more texture to it. So why not? Let's just keep it. Well, let's try something else. Let's say map. You don't really know what to do. Let's see, displace. I'm not sure if we're gonna want to do that, but let's just see what happens. Nope, we don't want that. But anyhow, that's looking pretty good as is. Now let's add some wear on this, some dirt and stuff. So we're gonna do a new layer. Again, we're always doing a new layer when we're doing something different. Let's take the brush. Let's grab on a color mixer here. Look for something a little kind of a tan color. Maybe sort of towards the brown side. Maybe something just like that. Let's look at our brushes. I'm gonna move this tab over to here. I like having it over here instead. There. Let's look at our brushes here. Let's maybe try something like this brush right here. We're going to scale it up quite a bit. Maybe something like that. Let's go ahead and select it so the selection is kind of more near the edge. The texture is going to take that corner now. And you can press Control and then scroll to zoom in. Alright, let's release it there for a second. Then move it down some more. So right about there. Okay, so now let's go back to what we were doing here. So we're going to go back to our brush, and we're just going to, you know what, I think we want to just go ahead and enlarge this even more. Something, and I think we'll only do the top half. You'll see why in a second. Just going to kind of do some areas, maybe not so much dirt on this in the middle. So let's just do it more towards the sides, where the dirt would kind of blow onto the asphalt. Something like that. Let's colors. Let's bring down the saturation. It's gonna go hue and saturation. Just bring down the saturation a little bit. Lightness. Let's bring the lightness up. Maybe something more like that. All right. Now let's bring down the opacity. So I just want kind of a hint of dirt. Something like that. And then let's duplicate this layer and then say layer, transform, and say flip vertically. Alright, that's going to make it so it's seamless, so we're not going to have any harsh lines or anything. It's going to tile nicely in this direction. Now I'll merge this down with this layer down below it, just like that. Alright, so we're getting a little bit further. Let's see. Well, we're going to probably want to add kind of more of some darker colors right in the middle here. So let's create a new layer. In fact, we'll create this layer and let's keep it below the dirt layer. We're gonna go to black. I think we're just gonna go straight black. Let's just see what happens if we just use this. Same brush. And let's see what happens if we just bring down the opacity. That doesn't look too bad. Let's have me just drag it down. No. You know what, I think we want to go and get a different brush. Let's say, oh, I don't know, any of these things would probably work. Let's try this. In fact, let's just do it to here, and then the same way we did for the dirt, let's duplicate this layer and say layer, transform, flip vertically. We'll merge it down. Bingo, there we are. And so that makes sure it's seamless this way. We want to probably bring down the... You know what? Let's change the width of this layer. So we're gonna break the chain right here, and then we're just gonna change the width only. So breaking that will just make sure it only changes the width and not the height. Alright, that looks good. We might kind of smudge it a little bit. So let's just take the smudge tool. Just kind of smudge that so it's not quite so hard looking. That looks good. I'm gonna bring up the opacity. Just kind of play with the opacity until you get it where you like it. Maybe some right there, nothing too dramatic, just something to kind of hint that the airports go through the center. I mean, the airplanes taxi on the center of the taxiway. It's kind of what it's supposed to hint, and so we're going to have a little bit more of a wear right there. And this texture is actually looking pretty good right now. We need to create some. We need to create the line textures. I'm gonna go ahead and say this too. Layer image size. And so I usually create my tar patches, or my tar textures on this texture. I may not keep them on this texture. More likely than not, I will not keep them on this texture, but just create them over this texture so I can see how it would look on the taxiway. So let's go back into our textures here. Let's take a look at some of these roads. What I'm looking for is to get some lines. In fact, only one I need. I just need a yellow line. I might have to go to CG textures and look something out. Let's go to pictures here real quick. I think I have another folder of textures. And again, all these are from CG textures, so that looks interesting. Well, we might navigate to this texture. Let's just try this texture. You never know. Oops, that's my... There we go. We're just going to open it in a new window. We're going to go to Pictures. The name of that was Road 1. Alright, let's just zoom in. We're going to take the Fuzzy Select tool. I'm just going to click on the yellow line. And we're going to continue to click, holding down Shift to keep adding to the selection. So as you see, I'm holding down Shift. I'm just clicking on it. It's kind of going down here. That's one way we could do it. Let's try selecting by color, see what happens then. That didn't work too well. And the other option is just to take this rectangle tool, just take the rectangle tool, get it pretty close, and just say Control C. Let's go to this texture here. We're gonna make a new layer real quick. Alright, say Control V now. There's our texture. Let's rotate it. So we're gonna say Layer, Transform, Rotate 90 degrees. Let's see what happens if you just bring the opacity. Well, let's set this to a new layer. There we go. Bring the opacity down maybe just a little bit, or maybe even just a saturation. Let's forget the opacity and just say saturation here. Let's bring those saturation down just a little bit. Now, if a lot of taxi lines, they'll have kind of taxi, taxi markings, whatever. They'll have a kind of a black edge. So let's go down. This is a new layer right here. Nothing on it. What we'll do, we'll kind of take a selection here. Go line at the bottom up with this yellow line, and the same thing for the top. Again, holding down Control and scrolling, and it'll kind of follow your mouse as you zoom. Alright, now let's just adjust the width on this, so the same on both sides. And we'll just take the paintbrush. This brush should work. I'm just going to color that black. And set let's see, we might need to say filters map, well actually filters enhance, let's see, what do I want? Noise, that's what I want. Say HVS noise. See if we can get any. We're looking just to kind of break up this black a little bit. Maybe just bring down the opacity might work. Let's go to our eraser. Let's see here, there it is. We'll go to our brushes here. Let's just get a round brush. I'm going to scale this way down. More than that. Something, maybe just up a little bit more now. Right there. Click on this corner. Okay. Scroll up to here. Okay, hold it down Shift and click on this corner. Alright, that looks good. Okay, we'll do this corner now. Click on that corner. Alright, go down here. Click on this corner, holding down Shift to get that line straight. Right there. And that looks pretty good. Let's see if what happens if we just scale this layer, just make it a little narrower so we have a little more of the black showing. Just say layer, scale. Not gonna change it much, maybe just a few pixels. That looks good. Let's just say layer to image size now. Let's merge it down with the other layer. Alright. And now we just need to lengthen this. Now, as I said before, I'm not actually going to keep this texture on this same texture sheet. I'm just creating it on this texture just so I can see what it looked like on the taxiway. Alright, so let's just keep going here. We're going to duplicate that. Holding down Shift so we make sure we're moving the right layer. Alright, move it down. We're going to move it down right to the very edge. Right there. Okay, duplicate that one. Move one more, just bring so it's because we just need a little bit more here. Alright, so let's merge those three down. This one should tile pretty well. We don't need to worry about how it'll line up because there's not a whole lot to worry about. Should tile fine. Just say let's just select all. Alright. And let's actually move our black kind of wear layer here above the taxi line. And I think we need to bring up the opacity on that wear layer. So about like that. Maybe even just down a little bit. You just kind of keep playing with it. And you know, even after you export it into Flight Simulator, you're going to probably want to play with it some more because it always looks a little bit different in Flight Simulator. But that's looking fairly good for a taxi line. Of course, in the end, it should look something like this, because we're going to have a line over here. We need to make sure that is, before we duplicate it, let's just make sure it's layer to image size. Alright, now let's duplicate it. Move one over here. I just sometimes kind of like to do this just to kind of get a good sense of what it's going to look like. Alright, we'll do the same thing. Again. It's looking pretty flashy now. So I'll merge the two-sided ones down onto the same layer, or into their own layer. Say layer to image size now. Let's just see. You might want to bring the opacity of these ones down a little bit so they're not so bright. Something like that. That looks pretty good. So there you are. This is a fairly fresh-looking taxiway. You know, obviously the older the taxiway, the more cracked and you want your lines to look. So like you might use like, let's see here. So our textures. You might use like these lines right here. So you know, just do the same kind of process. These just look a little bit more worn. But I like the looks of this pretty well. And again, you can always edit, you know, textures are easy to come back and edit later. So let's see here. Let's work on some tar cracks. So we're gonna make a new layer. Let's go to CG texture, see if we can't find any tar. Let's go to damaged. I haven't really tried to look for any texture such as tar yet, so I'm not sure I'm gonna find any. Let's see. Let's see here, various. We might have to create our own kind of cracks. If we can find a road with some patches on that, we might use that. Gonna kind of keep going through these. Sort of a hint of some tar cracks there. Not exactly what I'm looking for though. Let's see. Markings, maybe? Just never know. Sometimes they put them in odd places. Let's see. None of these I don't think would have anything. check asphalt close-ups real quick. Look on her decals too. Doesn't look to be anything there. So what we might do is just kind of create our own here. So it's going to be a little more artistic in a way, since we are creating our own, to get them to look realistic enough. We need to go ahead and scale up our brush. I think we're just going to start out with just a simple line here. Let's imagine if there was there's a crack. Let's just say there's one right there. We don't want to run up quite to the end. Alright. Now let's just see what would happen if we just brought down the opacity. I maybe just ran even just a dark line right down the center of that. So let's see, let's bring the size down. Okay, now let's do this on a new layer. We're going to create a new layer off of the one we're using right now. Move it below that. Whoops. Let's make our brush even smaller. Maybe like that. And just kind of carefully follow that tar crack, more or less. Go up this one. Let's redo that. Might want to kind of take a break, like stop there, let your fingers rest a second, and go some more. Alright, then we'll just keep coming up here. Alright. And we're going to bring the opacity of that one down. We're going to leave it darker than the other one, but it doesn't look too bad. Let's bring the one on top of that up just a little bit. Alright. I don't know if we want to mess with the smudge tool at all. We'll see what happens if we do. Select this layer. So we're editing the small crack now. And so maybe we'll just kind of take the smudge tool and kind of break it up in places. Anyhow, so you just kind of mess with it like that, and you know, that looks fairly convincing actually. But that's, you know, that's kind of the idea. You just kind of keep editing, messing with things. Let's try and create a couple more. Let's see here. So we'll change our brush size down a little larger. Maybe about 25. Alright. We'll enlarge just a little bit more. Just keep adjusting the brush. Alright, there. We'll do this on our this layer here. Whoops, we didn't have our brush selected. Try it again. Alright. Well, maybe this one kind of jets way off. It ends up, you know, we don't know where, just somewhere down here. Alright. Then we'll take this layer here. Scale our brush down to about 5, I think it was, 5 or 6. Alright, I'm going to use our pencil. Whoops, we want to do that on our other layer. In fact, I think I did this one on the wrong layer, but I did, I think. So let's see, you know what, might have to redo that. I'm being lazy here and not naming my layers. Alright, so that's the layer we want to do it on. Which means, you know, since I didn't name them, that means I'm going to redo things here. Redo, you know, rescale my brush. And so, in the long run, make sure you scale everything. Let's make this really squiggly. Just like that. Alright, that looks pretty good. Let's change the brush size now. It's about 7 or 6 or 7. We'll scale it. Whoops. Scale it down to about 6. Okay, select our layer below that one. We'll start over here. And let's use our pencil. Why not? I don't know why, if it makes any difference or not, but I'm pretty sure it's the right layer. Yeah. In fact, what our problem is, we actually need to work on a new layer and then merge it down. So we get a nice dark line to work with here. So we're just doing this on a new layer. And then we'll merge it down onto the other layer once we're finished with it. And you know, this is coming together pretty well. I might just wrap this video up right here and upload it. Still gotta get the other modeling video out, which I'm still working on. Of course, I'm going to show you how to make a concrete texture. Just that I haven't. I still need to experiment a little bit with the concrete stuff because I don't know how to do that quite as well as this yet. But you know, we're getting somewhere. Hope these tutorials are informative. At least help you or something. Good for something. So you know, you might do something like that. Let's merge it down. And then you could, you know, once you're kind of done, you know, you're sure that you're done and finished editing the cracks, you could just, I might change the pace of these, just leave them a little more. Well, I'm fairly dark. Alright. Merge them down. And so this would be kind of a separate texture, it'd just be the tar cracks, and then you'd create a new plane or, you know, whatever polygon Gmax and apply just the tar cracks over top of your other textures and stuff like that. And of course that's all going to be I'll be able to explain that a whole lot better once I get to that step in these tutorials. Transform, say flip horizontally, and then, you know, of course it's pretty obvious that these are duplicates, but we're just going to kind of see how this look. Maybe just flip them like that. So that's going pretty well. I wonder what would happen if we let's see, what layer is this? Oh, okay, I see that now. I wonder what would happen if we move these above the taxi lines. An interesting effect. I kind of think at the moment I like them below. So anyhow, hope this can give you a good idea how to create an asphalt texture. Like I was just saying, we'll be creating a concrete texture. Still need to get the modeling video out there, but I thought, what the hell, we'll just show you how to do some textures, so you can, you know, have those things ready to go. Um, yeah, just stay tuned. I'll see how much I can get done. It's still quite a bit of work to be done on these tutorials yet, but we're getting somewhere. We'll just keep working on her. All right, thanks.